What is up, heroes? This is MidniteZer0.
And Lizzie.
And welcome to our very first top 5, our top 5 Danganronpa 1 and 2 executions. We just recently finished up playing through Danganronpa 2. We've only played through the first couple games, and one of the key elements in these games is the executions. And there are a lot of great ones. There are some that are better than others, though. And in this video, we'd like to talk about what our top 5 favorites are.
So to come up with our top 5, we looked at a couple of key factors that we thought were really important to us. So the first was how it made us feel, so the initial impact of the execution. The second was looking at how the execution changed the character, how it characterized the character. Third was looking at how this execution affected the other characters and character relationships. Fourth was, of course, just how it looked. Did it look really nice? Did the visuals and audio really impact us? And then finally, because this is Danganronpa, we had to look at the despair factor. So how much despair did we feel post-execution?
So those are our criteria. Again, those are our criteria. Everyone plays the game differently. Everyone feels differently. Of course, if you have different criteria, if you think there's something we missed, if you feel differently, let us know in the comment section below. We'll be looking forward to hearing all the different experiences that people have with Danganronpa. And of course, spoiler warning, there are huge spoilers for both Danganronpa 1 and 2 in this video. If you haven't played through those games or seen playthroughs of those games, do not watch this video. This video will take away from your experience if you have not played those games. But if you have, enjoy. Number 5.
Coming in at number 5, we have Tanaka Gundam, of course. He was one of our favorite characters playing through Danganronpa 2. I thought his hamsters were absolutely adorable. And so when his execution incorporated not only just being a despair-filled execution, but also his hamsters, I was absolutely heartbroken.
The feels were super strong on this one, but not just with the hamsters as well. We had just recently been having him get shipped with Sonya, and only to see that cut off so soon was so heartbreaking. And then moving a little bit beyond the feels, there was just some irony in his death in particular, and how he ended up going to heaven, how the animals ended up saving him, how he ended up getting killed by animals, even though he's the ultimate breather, even though he talked about being dark, like overlord of ice, and being like from hell and all. So there was a lot of comedic irony in his death in addition to impactful feels.
Visually, it was also super cool. So there was that part where he draws the circle in the ground and he does the like magic stuff. And
magic
I thought
stuff.
the like dark magic that was supposed to save him. And I remember thinking like, oh my god, he's gonna get saved by his magic. But he didn't. This execution also characterized Tanaka a ton. So before, we pretty much knew that he really liked animals, and that was kind of it, and he was really cool. But now we understood a little bit more about how he viewed the world, and how he was willing to murder and willing to kill and willing to die as well to move forward with life, because he hated the idea of just waiting around to die.
Really cool window into his thought process and stuff. Really revealed a lot about what makes him an incredible character. So definitely deserving of the number 5 spot on our list. Number 4. So number 4 is going to be the execution of Leon Kuwata, the ultimate super high school level baseball player. It's the first execution. There's no avoiding that. The first time you encounter one of these punishments, these executions, it hits you incredibly hard. The devastation, just looking at Leon, looking at his suffering, really feeling the despair that becomes trademark of Danganronpa. And also the fact that Leon's execution is actually one of the leftovers from the beta. And for that reason, it's one of the more gruesome, it's one of the more violent. It really just kind of gets you down to your core as you try to empathize, as you put yourself in Leon's shoes.
Yeah, I remember when I was playing through the game, during this execution, afterwards, Nick and I just kind of we just took a walk because it was so impactful for me. I remember being like, oh my gosh, are all the executions going to be this dark and this violent? And you kind of could put yourself in their shoes and imagine how painful it was for him to undergo that kind of pain before he died. So it was definitely really dark, definitely really impactful, and really hit Danganronpa 1 off with a bang.
And something else to consider is that this was also the first execution for all of the characters in the Danganronpa series, and it really sets the tone for the game going forward, and it definitely starts it off on a good foot. Number 3. Coming in at number 3 is our execution, or rather Naegi/Kiriri's execution. This is actually a branching path in Danganronpa 1, and what's really cool about this from a game design perspective is that they take it so far that even though you choose, you kind of feel like you're right because the game keeps going. It doesn't immediately game over. You only find out later on that you actually really screwed up. And then the game, if you did end up choosing that path, guilt trips you super hard when you do end up picking the right path. We actually ended up picking the wrong one first, and felt super bad when we were like, yeah, we totally trusted in Kirigiri. We totally trusted in you the whole time. What are you talking about, game?
Another aspect was that this is Kirigiri and I guess Naegi as well. I mean, we care about Naegi, but it was Kirigiri's execution. And so throughout the entire game, we've been always loving Kirigiri. She's so incredible, such a good detective. And so I guess at the end, like, we chose the wrong ending because we thought, this whole time we have to be on the side of truth. But really, we should have trusted our instinct and trusted the character that we had grown to love. Visually, it was also really incredible, and because you would have this kind of shaking of the screen every time the large anvil thing would drop down to the ground, and the anticipation of not seeing the anvil as you're going backwards creates kind of this anticipation and anxiety as it's happening, not knowing when it's going to happen, but feeling and hearing it in the background of when you're about to die.
Not to mention the facial expressions on the characters as they're approaching this, as the viewer, as the gamer sees them approaching this crushing death, pun intended. We see the facial expression, we see them turn blue, we see them sweat, we see Kirigiri lose her cool, and that in itself is an impactful moment.
Another aspect was Alter Ego's intervention. So we think that Naigi's just about to die, and then Alter Ego intervenes, saves the day, and Naegi instead gets dropped into a trash chute, which Kirigiri ends up saving him later. But I think it has that kind of despair, hope, roller coaster ride all of a sudden where you see Alter Ego come in and you know things are going to be okay.
Yeah, overall, an incredible game design choice, an incredible swing from despair to hope. That despair is characterized super well, and the hope really hits home at this point in the story. So definitely deserving of a spot on this list. Number 2.
Coming at number 2 is Pekoyama's execution. Now, of course, we were going to talk about this because of the Kuzupeko trash can. So the Kuzupeko trash can came into being in this execution, or right before this execution, because we found out about Tsuryu and Pekoyama's long childhood relationship and their blossoming love, only to be fraught after Pekoyama's execution just because she wanted to save Tsuryu. And so we full-fledged dived into the bottom of this trash can at the beginning of this execution and kind of stayed there throughout the rest of Danganronpa 2 and kind of characterized how we thought of Kuzuryu and his relationship with Pekoyama.
There's no doubt that the feelings between these two characters really drew out the impact of this particular execution, and not to mention the whole roller coaster thing we mentioned in the previous entry is definitely alive here. We see Pekoyama looking really cool. The visuals are incredible as she's outlined in this sort of neon greenish that you guys know I like if you've been on my channel before, with this sort of dark outline, everything looking really cool. And then we see Kuzuryu on the edge. We see Kuzuryu trying to get in there to help Pekoyama, and in the end, Pekoyama ends up slicing him, not killing him, but that breaks her to the point of giving up, to the point of just trying to console, trying to make up for her amends by essentially letting herself be killed by these robots around her. Just that roller coaster, that sort of, despair into hope, back into despair. Shout out to, always sinking back into despair with Danganronpa. Really adds to the intensity of this particular execution. And finally, this execution changes Kuzuryu. It's not just physical, it's not just the eye patch, it's his character that changes. He becomes more open to everyone around him. He starts to warm up, he starts to get to know them, he starts to care about them. And this sets the tone for his character throughout the entire game, leading to what's actually a really cool character at the end. Number 1.
Coming in at our number 1 spot is Nanami and Monami's execution. So what was really impactful about this one was the roller coaster of emotions of hope and then despair. So as they're waiting, getting shot by these bullets from Monokuma, Nanami grabs Monami and runs out, and you think, oh my gosh, they're gonna escape, they got this, and then only to run into another room and then get crushed by Tetris blocks.
In addition to this roller coaster of hope and despair, there's also a ton of cool gaming references in this particular execution. Of course, it makes sense for the super high school level gamer to be executed in such a way that involves references to games, but there are a few of them, and they're all strung together really well. The references to Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and Tetris, and they just keep coming one after another. And I think in particular what makes this really interesting is that they're transformed from the retro childhood games into these basically death traps for these characters that we care about so much at this point.
Finally, we absolutely loved Nanami and Monami, rather Nanami and Monami as characters by the end. At the beginning, we already kind of liked Nanami because she was a gamer, and then Monami because she was really sweet, but by the end, we just absolutely loved them. Nanami is probably one of our favorite characters from the series, right up there with Kirigiri from the first game, so seeing her die right in front of our eyes was just really tragic.
Not to mention the context of her death. The trial leading up to this execution was a roller coaster in and of itself. We found out that she's the traitor. We're morally conflicted about, is the traitor a good person? Is the traitor a bad person? Is the traitor even a person? At this point, we're considering, is Nanami an AI? Is she a robot? What is going on with her? There's so much we want to know. There's so much we want to learn about her feelings, about her past, about her character in and of itself, and it's immediately just taken away from us.
And finally, this execution sets up for a really amazing Nanami re-entrance at the very end of the game when Hinata and kind of everyone else are going into despair mode. Nanami appears to Hinata to bring him back and to make him go like Super Saiyan and saves the day, essentially. So kind of her returning from the dead to save her friends is also really important in my opinion.
And that's all for our top 5. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate the support and taking the time to look at or to learn about our experience with Danganronpa 1 and 2. Again, there are a lot of varied experiences. There are a lot of really cool characters. There are a lot of great executions in this series. Let us know what some of your favorites are in the comment section below.
Yeah, thanks guys for watching. It was really fun coming up with these executions and talking them over again. And I look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts.
Oh, and lastly, let us know if you guys enjoyed these sprites. They were done by an artist named Betty. Her Instagram and Tumblr are going to be in the descriptions below. Be sure to check out her work. She's a really talented artist. So thank you again to Betty for that. And yeah, that's all we've got for you guys for the time being. I hope you guys are looking forward to future top 10s, future playthroughs of Danganronpa games. And of course, if you want to see the previous ones that we have already done, those will be in the description as well. They're on my channel. And we'll see you guys in whatever next video of ours you watch. But until then, this has been MidniteZer0.
And Lizzie.
And this mission is complete.